She's Marie Villa. Hello, and you're very welcome to ABP's Farm Matters series. Mary Kennedy here, and over the course of this episode, our second in the series, we're discussing the impact of COVID on rural life and living. Well, whether it's COVID-19 or rural isolation, we're living in very unprecedented times. You don't need me to tell you that. And it all creates a sense of uncertainty. For many people, it can be just too much at times. We're going to discuss the impact of this on rural wellness and mental health with Carmel Dawson, who's PRO and lifelong member of the ICA, lover of all things in country living, or almost all things. And we're going to talk about the pressures experienced by people in rural Ireland and why they seem to be different to those who are living in more populated urban or town centres. I'm going to take off the glasses so that we can have a proper conversation. Carmel, will you explain to us what you understand to be rural isolation, the characteristics that you see?
Well, good morning, Mary.
Morning.
I live in Tullow in Carlow. It's a small town, but busy, market town, surrounded by farming area.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a lovely part of the country, might I say. My grandmother is from Carlow.
That's right. That's right. So we were doing nicely. I've lived in Tullow almost all of my 70 plus years, reared my family here, and I have grandchildren here and children in America, grandchildren in America and Australia. So last March, we were asked to stop living the way we have always had and change completely and live more restricted and a different way. And we have done that. We have done that, it's our life is built around our home, shopping. At this, I'm talking about my age, at this age of our life. And then suddenly it all stopped and I hate that word, cocooning in our home. And our neighbours, then I live in an area where our neighbours are elderly. And so you didn't see them out that much. So you felt very confined. So you had to make the best of what it was. Now, for a community, it was outstanding.
Really?
I mean, you could open the back door and, the amount of flour, I thought, thought I was going to start oddlums, that sort of way. And then anything you want, my own federation president who lives in Baglanstown and my own vice president, Margot Hennessy, they live 10 and 15 miles away, and they rang up and said, is there anything we can bring you? But we didn't need anything because we have our son and daughter here and our daughters, and we didn't notice that part of it. But where it happened was being able to go to Mass, feel safe going to Mass. I've only been at Mass twice since last March, but thankfully, with the help of our children, they sorted it out on
online,
and we can partake in that.
Well, what did Carmel do?
Well, I baked a lot, and I definitely ate a lot because I have a stone weight in that length of time.
They call it the COVID stone.
Well, is that it?
Yeah, it's called the COVID stone. We all have it.
Nobody told us how to get rid of it. But myself and my husband, Dan, who has underlying health problems, we have a garden, about 3/4 of an acre of a garden. So the weeds were not allowed to grow and the grass was cut within an inch of their lives. And we had a beautiful display, but nobody to see it. That's what we spent our time doing. Every shed was mended, every shed was painted. And
there's a nice feeling there's a feeling of satisfaction when you get those jobs done. And that, I think everybody had a bit of that at the beginning of lockdown and, as you say, cocooning. But, did you find just the lack of human contact of your friends, your neighbours? Were you lonely, even though you had your husband Dan and your children close by?
Yeah, there was loneliness about it because I'm a busy person. I barely meet myself coming back. I love organising things. I had a big concert organised for our church, Michael English, and that was to happen on the 19th of August. And I was busy with that, with a group of people that were helping. And that sort of came to an end. I missed going down to collect my pension, and whoever thought of that idea that we could only go out once a fortnight to pick up our pension. I mean, part of that is going down. I go to Supervalia, and the owner's there, Tommy Hickson, and he's there every morning, and you know, you have the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I'm a peace commissioner as well, and maybe people would want a few forms signed or things like that. And it could take you an hour and a half to buy 6 items, you know, but there's no more of that. It's isolating us more by only doing that once a fortnight. Now, in saying that, I think our age group were very compliant of all. I felt that we were more compliant. But I don't go to the daycare centre, but the daycare centre in Tullow is outstanding, and they have a fleet of volunteers and paid workers that bring people in, and they're there for the chat. The physiotherapist will be there, the hairdresser, laundry, their food, maybe a game of bingo, a chat with people, and if they had any worries. That's not happening now. They're delivering out the lunches, and people are missing the companionship of that.
When you think about all of the things you've mentioned, the lack of services, the lack of contact, and the difficulties with isolation, do you think that people are a little bit reluctant to talk about feeling mentally
well, Mary, nobody
unwell?
has said to me, I'm depressed or I have a mental illness, but what they would say is, I have a sadness about me, or I have a loneliness about me. And especially, we do funerals very well in Ireland, and particularly in rural areas. I mean, that is the saddest. I've only been at one removal in that time. But for such a small group of people, they need the support of the community. They need the support. It's all big families, and they need that, and that's missing. And now it's restricted more, that sort of way.
What kind of services would you like to see installed or reinstated in rural Ireland that would, when we in the future can get together again, would alleviate some of the loneliness and the isolation?
Well, I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think we'll be having meetings before the spring of next year. I'm resigned to that we're not, and we're never going to have life the way we had before. And I don't know, I have no magic plan for it.
What would be the best case scenario for you? What would be the best case scenario for you?
Well, virtual is not going to work for our age group. Simple as that. Certainly not. I haven't embraced technology. I had to get a lot of help this morning to be part of this. But, there's lots of special occasions that has been missed. And okay, the weddings are being cancelled, confirmations and communions. And I think they've done that right. A smaller group of people, instead of 80 or 90 children having communion confirmation. I think if they do it in smaller groups, I think that's the ideal. And I'd like that retained because it's more personal for families. I don't know what they're going to do about the funerals. Yes, we can go to the graveyard and that, but it's part of the goodbye, the ceremony, the church, the overflowing after it, and consoling people. And
so, Carmel, when we talk about all of these things, and certainly as you've described it, life has slowed down for all of us, but that kind of pace of life can be reinstated in the future, and hopefully we can be together as a community again. Is that what you would like to see?
Yes, but I know it'll be with restrictions, and I know we'll never go back to the way it is. But I think what's what is depressing at the moment, and I find it, and I've talked to lots of people, is the negativity and the politicising of COVID in the Dáil by opposition. It really, it annoys me when I look at it, and there is nothing positive. We hear this phrase, we're all in this together. But if they're all in it together, why don't they support the government of the day? Mm-hmm. They're doing the best they can. I think the government is damned if they do and damned if they don't, whether on level 1 or level 5. But I don't think the negativity that's coming out of the Dáil is helping people at all. Of course, ICA is closed down, but that doesn't say we're not active. Our national president, Josephine Helly, who lives in Galway, she started the Scrubs initiative, and people that could sew and had a sewing machine and that were busy, and they did close on 2,000 sets, which, was a huge amount of work, and they were distributed by voluntary people to nursing homes, hospitals and daycare centres and carers. And then another group were making beautiful blankets for people that are confined to wheelchairs, nursing homes and whatever.
Well, Carmel, the work that you do in the ICA certainly helps an awful lot of people right around the country. So continued success to you, and keep up the good work as PRO. And thanks for being a part of Farm Matters.
Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of Farm Matters. As always, information and details on the show can be found on our homepage, which is abpfoodgroup.com. Now, in the next episode of ABP's Farm Matters, we'll be looking at Ireland's dairy beef herd and how recent research has shown potential to cut emissions in the herd. So until next time, Mary Kennedy here saying thanks for tuning in, stay well and safe farming. Slán a gaibh.